Welcome to Soulful Success by Design, the podcast for women who are done playing small, done following the rules, and ready to create success on their own terms. I'm Kendra Woods, a soul-aligned business mentor, 6'2" splenic projector, and the midwife to women's breakthroughs. For nearly a decade, I've been guiding ambitious women like you to step out of old paradigms of success and step fully into your next evolution through the art of human design, mindset, quantum energetics, and identity work. Here, we treat business like what it truly is, a sacred, creative process, a place to embody your becoming. So if you're ready to rise, ready to rewire how you think about success, and ready to lead from your soul, you're in the right place. Let's dive in. Welcome back, beautiful soul, to the Soulful Success by Design podcast, the podcast for soul-led women entrepreneurs who are here to redefine success on their own terms. This is the Redefining Success movement, where we trade hustle for alignment, trends for timelessness, and surface-level strategy for deep, soul-rooted leadership. And in today's episode, we're exploring another key topic that is important to lasting success, and that is how to self-source your momentum. And just like all the conversations I have here with you, this one here is close to my heart because, again, it's one of the lessons that I've learned over my journey, and it's changed how I approach my business and honestly, how I approach and live my life. And I'll share with you how I've built nearly a decade in this industry without succumbing to burnout or losing myself by learning to source my momentum from within instead of chasing it outside of me. So here's the question I want you to sit with and just let it kind of be in your world as we dive into this conversation. What if your momentum didn't have to come from your results? What if you could create it on demand from within yourself? Even when things feel slow, even when the external evidence hasn't caught up yet, that's what we're talking about here today. Because the truth of the matter is, so many women in business are chasing momentum from the wrong places. But not you, my love, not anymore. So let me talk to you about what this means. Think about how you feel when things are going really well in your business or your life. So let's say like the launch is landing, the clients are coming in, things in your personal life are just operating like smoothly. Everything feels so luscious and spacious, right? You're feeling seen. When those things are happening, you feel unstoppable, right? But what happens when it slows down? For most people, they dip, right? They start second guessing themselves. They spiral into overthinking, or they fall into hustling harder, trying to get that feeling back. And again, maybe you've done this too. Okay, I've certainly been there. But here's the problem with that I've learned that I want to share with you is that when our energy is tied to what happens externally, you are putting yourself on an emotional roller coaster. It's like you are shape shifting in real time all the time. And this is where what I call self-sourced momentum really changes everything. So let's talk about like what it is. So self-sourced momentum is about learning to create the emotional and energetic frequency of your next level before it shows up in your reality. It means you stop waiting for external evidence to tell you that it's safe to feel confident, motivated, ready. And instead, you become the woman who generates that energy from within. And when you do this, you know what happens? You stay grounded even when the numbers dip. You stop making desperate decisions from fear or scarcity, and you magnetize opportunities and clients because your energy is clean and confident. You're no longer reactive. You are showing up from a place where you're leading. And so I want to talk about the layers of this. And I want to, because I think it helps you to understand this evolution of what it looks like to fully operate from this self-sourced place. There are stages to this. And when I was planning for this episode, I was thinking about my journey with this and what this looked like. And so there are two stages that I want to share with you. The first one is what I call the elementary stage, right? Elementary energetics, beginner energetics. This is where you're saying, I need the external to activate the energy, to activate my internal energy. So you put yourself in rooms, events, coaching containers to borrow the energy because you don't yet know how to create or hold it. Right. So you quote unquote pretend the results are here, but it feels like a stretch. And so when I thought of this in my own journey, I was like, yeah, that's exactly why for a long time I felt like I needed to be in masterminds and coaching spaces and going to live events because when I would be in those spaces, it's like because I could see outside of me amazing women doing amazing things. I could hear their stories, I could feel their energy. Maybe there was music playing and we were dancing and like I was in the vibe of the space. Or if I was in an online coaching container, I could again still feel that energy and it would help me to activate my belief within myself. It would help me to activate this momentum in my energy. I would get off of those calls and be like, whoa, here's what I'm going to do. And I would like leverage that energy for as long as I could. And then I would hop back in on another call and source the energy from the group and then go do. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying that that is wrong. But what I noticed is along the way, is if I wasn't in those spaces, right? If something outside of me wasn't activating my energy, then I would kind of just be in this meh kind of space, right? I would find that it was easier for me to fall into the doom loop of like, well, gosh, well, am I doing it right? Maybe I'm not doing it right. Am I enough? That master class that I just did, was it enough? Like I could find myself falling into those loops, okay? But over time, I begin to learn that, okay, Kendra, it's okay to want to put yourself in these spaces to kind of borrow that energy. But what you've got to learn is how to hold the frequency and the energy of your vision when it's just you. And this is what has led me to the second stage, which is the mature stage, or what I call embodied energetics. Okay. So in this phase, now you're saying, I can conjure the energy on my own. I source it from within. And so what this looks like is you're no longer using the external spaces like masterminds and live events or mentorships as a crutch. You're now using those spaces as calibration containers that help you expand your capacity to hold that energy long term. And for a long time, I did not get this. I would hear coaches say, yes, when you join this mastermind, you're going to calibrate to this frequency and elevate your energy. And I would just think, okay, this is a bunch of fluff. Like, I don't know what they're talking about. They're just saying that to try to get me into their spaces. But at this more mature level, of energetics and at this new level of understanding, I recognize, oh no, okay, I get to now use these spaces. Like I joined a mastermind a couple of months ago, and yes, I joined it not so much because I thought because I need the strategy or any of that, but more so because I wanted to be in a space where women who were several steps ahead of me were having conversations that I knew that I needed to hear and be a part of in order to calibrate my energy to that place. Okay. And so what that means is you're no longer performing the energy, you are the energy. So, for example, if we use the idea of success as an example, I have learned that again, yeah, success can be like the external achievements that you receive, but it's also about the internal frequency of success. And so then what it looks like is me becoming the energy of success. Like it's just who I am. That's embodied energetics. When you see someone, walking around, you're like, gosh, they are just always seem like they're in this joyful place. They're always finding the positive or the silver lining in every single like challenge or experience in life. Yeah, that's that person embodying the energy of joy, embodying the energy of growth, embodying the energy of transformation. And so this is when we look at embodied energetics, this is the essence of what I call the pre-sourced momentum method, right? You're shifting from I'll believe it when I see it, because how many times have we heard that phrase? I'll believe it when I see it. And you're shifting to I'll feel it and then I'll see it. And that's the magic. And this is also the work. This is also the work. Because I'm telling you, for so long, for years, I would, it's like there was a part of me that understood the energy when I would hear coaches say, be in the energy of the result that you want right now. It made sense to me. I got it. Like on a soul level, I got it. But my body was like, yeah, this doesn't make sense. Like it's not here yet. My logical mind would be like, yeah, but I need to actually feel it and hold it and know that it's happened. And then I can let myself be excited and happy. But there's something profound that happens as a woman when you can within yourself say, you know what? I'm going to show up today and I am going to be the energy of success. I'm going to be joyful. I'm going to open my heart. I'm going to show up and be confident, even regardless of what's happening outside of me. I mean, to me, that's the ultimate flex right there. When you can show up as a woman and walk into a room and walk through your life being the embodiment of joy and happiness and being the embodiment of a leader, being able to lead yourself through whatever is happening. And I want to speak to this real quick too, because it doesn't mean that you're always, when I say embodying joy and embodying happiness, it doesn't mean that you're walking around every day just like skipping and like singing your songs and like twirling your hair because life happens, right? This year for me, I mean, the first half of this year, life was lifing hard. But because I understand and have embodied so much of the what I would say um leadership energetics and success energetics, I look at what happens and I say, okay, how am I going to lead myself through this? How do I want to show up through this? And so it's not about collapsing when things go crazy in life and collapsing your energy and being pulled down by what's happening. It's instead opening up, facing what's happening, and choosing, deliberately choosing how you are going to operate and be as you're moving through this thing. Okay. So a lot of the times when I say the embodiment of happiness and joy, it's looking at like saying, okay, this crazy thing's happening in my life right now, and it is very disruptive, but is there any type of happiness or joy that I can find from this? Are there any little slivers of like, how can I source the joy from within myself? And a lot of times that looks like just being in deep gratitude. So earlier this year, like I did an episode on this where I talked about all the disruptions that happened in my life this year. And a couple of those disruptions were me and my husband both were in car accidents. I had some dental work that needed to be done this year, which was a huge surprise. I was having an issue with one of my molars in the back. It was really sensitive to hot and cold. And so I went to my dentist and she said, oh, it looks like you need to have a root canal on that tooth. And I thought, oh, okay, I'll handle that. So anyway, long story short, I found um, a, um, a dental doctor who could do the root canal for me because my dentist didn't perform them. And he gets in there and he's looking around and he's like, testing my nerves and seeing what's going on. And he tells me that um, that I needed 3 root canals. And I was like, what? Actually, four. Actually, four, because one of my molars had three canals instead of two. So four root canals. And that just sent me, I mean, I sat in this chair and cried. I was like, are you serious? Because I knew, like, I had a moment where I just cried because I knew. I was like, wow, thank goodness, like, we have amazing insurance and we have our, flexible spending account we were able to utilize. But that was thousands of dollars, and but me and my husband laughed and I said, I said, at this rate, I could have bought myself a whole grill, for the amount of money that we have put into my mouth because they need to be fixed. And so in that moment, during that was the span of several months. Yes, it was very disruptive. It was very painful and it wasn't the best, but I chose to show up in my power during that time. And so even though it was inconvenient, I had to drive 45 minutes each time to an appointment and my husband would take me because I was so like drugged up afterwards that I couldn't drive. So he would take me. But I decided to be grateful during that time. I decided to know that this was just a season, it wasn't going to last. I continuously regulated my energy. I would do breath work, I would do EFT, I would meditate, I would continue to tell myself that I'm safe, all is well. This is just, for a season. And then I would tap into the joyful moments that me and my husband would have like afterwards, where we would go and grab lunch together afterwards, right? And that kind of became our routine. And that became something I looked forward to when it would take him like an hour and a half to do, work on one tooth. I would continuously think the whole time after this, I'm going to go have an amazing lunch with my husband and we're going to laugh. We're going to have a good time. I kept bringing my energy back to joy. I kept bringing my energy back to the thing that I was looking forward to, even though, and that didn't take away from the fact that what I was moving through was hard, right? It was, but it was who I was choosing to be in that moment. And it was the same process as I navigated through the healing and therapy of my accident, as we moved through my husband's healing and his process after his accident, and then my daughter had some things that showed up, health wise for her that we had to move through, but it was about who I was going to be in those moments. In each of those moments, that's embodying energetics. Because I could have let everything that was happening external of me just completely collapse. I could collapse into that emotion of all of that, and I would be no good. Okay. So I had to really practice feeling joy and feeling excitement for seeing how things were going to work out. So I had to hold that vision and see that things were going to work out, that we were going to get through this and tap into that energy every single day. And so I'm saying this because you get to do the same thing in your business, okay? So you launch an offer, you start a podcast, you go live on Instagram or Facebook, and you're not quite seeing the engagement you feel like you should see. It's not about focusing on that. It's focusing on your joy because you are showing up for your mission, because you're showing up for your business, because you're allowing yourself to be seen. It's patting yourself on the back and saying, girl, you are doing it. Right? So it's you pre-sourcing the energy. And so here's why this is so magnetic. When you live like this, you're not waiting for results to tell you who you are. You decide who you are right now, moment by moment, and your results rise to meet you. Your results rise to meet you. And this brings me to another question that I know some of you may be having. You may say, okay, Kendra, if I can source my energy from within, then why do I need a coach? Why do I need to go to, a conference or live events? Why invest in being in rooms with women who are at, higher levels than me? And here's the answer. It's because these spaces help your nervous system calibrate to frequencies you didn't even know you could hold. They help you normalize the extraordinary until it becomes your baseline. They help you mature, not just as an entrepreneur, but as a woman who leads herself. And so, even as someone who deeply knows how to source my own energy, I still intentionally place myself in spaces that expand me. Again, hence the reason why I decided to join this high level mastermind. that I joined a couple months ago. Hence the reason why I'm going to the live event for my mastermind in Denver called Living Brave Live, because growth doesn't mean isolating yourself. It means continuously expanding your capacity in environments that stretch you. So now let's talk about the how um, of this pre-sourced method. Excuse me. Let's talk about what that looks like. So number one, you want to identify the frequency of your next level. All right. So you get to ask yourself, if I was already at my next level, how would I feel? Not, not what would I be doing? That comes later, but how would I feel? Would I feel calm? Would I feel spacious? Would I feel certain? Would I feel bold? Maybe even playful? So get super clear on the emotional frequency. And this is, and you all have heard me talk about the be, do, have framework in past episodes. This is the be part of that framework, right? It's really tapping into the emotional frequency. Okay. Number two, anchor that frequency now. So this is where you practice being her before the evidence shows up. So some ways to do this, embodiment practices, okay? Visualize yourself as her. I love doing meditations where I'm connecting with my future self or where I'm connecting with my next level version of myself. I love doing that because I can clearly see the next version of myself in my mind's eye, and consciously connecting with her and seeing her and witnessing her helps me to embody her energy. You can journal as her. You can walk around your house moving like her. There are walks that I go on where, like $1 million walks, okay, where I'm like, all right, I am already this amazing, fierce, seven-figure business owner. I walk intentionally as her. How would I be walking? How would I carry myself? Walk around your house as that. Um, I will dress up. I was on a call a couple weeks ago. My client was like, "Oh, she's like, your dress is so pretty. Like, where are you going?" Not going anywhere, but I'm dressing as my as the next level version of me, right? I'm dressing in the energy and the frequency of her. And it was playful, right? It was a dress that I wore for a photo shoot that I did. And it was very like goddess-like. My shoulders were out. And I was like, yeah, this is the energy that I'm stepping into today. Okay. You can anchor that frequency now by practicing nervous system regulation. So using EFT, breath work, or grounding practices to create safety in your body while holding that new frequency. And so I remember when I had my very first like multiple five-figure month, and I had to do this practice where I had to do some breath work and EFT and visualizing just to ground my energy into what I had just created, because I had never done it before. It felt big. I could feel my mind going into the spiral of like, oh my gosh, my mind wanted to tell me that I needed to like do more. I needed to hustle. I needed to overgive. And really, what that was my nervous system was really activated, and I needed to help it understand that no, 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 receiving at this level is completely safe. This is what we want. This is our new normal, right? And so, this isn't about faking it, it's about wiring it into your nervous system, into your mind, into your subconscious. Okay. The next step to this self sourced method is to take micro moves from that energy. So, now, from that frequency, okay, that we just cultivated in step one and step two, what would she do next? Would she send the email? Would she post the offer? Would she pitch herself for that opportunity? And this is where the do comes in, and the be, do, have model. This is where that do comes in. And so when you take action from this activated state, it hits different, right? It's clean, it's potent, it's magnetic. This is the art of the self-sourcing or pre-sourcing momentum. You create it first and then take action from it. So, like, get yourself in the vibe and then go take action from it. Whatever that means from you. For you. Sometimes that looks like, I'll do a dance party before get on a client call, right? I'll dance around to my 80s music that I love listening to. And I'll just get my body flowing, really tuning into the music, and I get myself in a good energy that feels good and expansive. And then I go hop on my client call. Right. The same thing here with my podcast. I just recorded an episode before this and I took a little break. And so I got up in between and I, shook off the energy. I went and spoke to my husband. I got a big old hug from him and did some, co-regulating with him. That felt great and got my energy back where it needed to be to come back on here and record another episode for the podcast. Okay. So get yourself in the energy, source it from within, and then take action from that. And so right now, I'll give you like a in real time, like personal example. I am in the first month of my magnetic momentum journey that I'm on. So I've been doing this 90-day magnetic momentum journey. Started on July 1st. And so at the time of this recording, it's July 30th. So the month is almost over. And over this month, right, I had a week where nothing seemed to be moving. Like my energy was low. No one was, really engaging with me. And my conditioned instinct was to hustle harder, to do more, right? To do my way out of it. But instead, what I did is I paused and I asked myself, Kendra, if my next level self was already here, she was already where I wanted her to be, what would she feel? And the answer was calm. She would feel spacious. She would feel certain. And so I did a quick embodiment practice. I walked outside, listened to music, I let myself fully embody that version of me. And from that energy, right, I decided, okay, we get to keep moving forward. It doesn't matter if no one's engaging right now. It doesn't matter if things are moving a bit slow. It doesn't matter that, no one has said yes yet to my private mentorship. And also from that energy, I made a decision that I've been avoiding. I knew that I wanted to do it, but I've been kind of dancing around it. And I wanted to invite my the women that I'm in this mastermind with. I wanted to reach out to them and say, hey, I'd love to have some of you all on my podcast to share your stories and elevate your voices. And I knew that I wanted to do that. And it definitely felt aligned for me, but I had been dancing around it, kind of like, oh, okay, I'll do it. I'll do it tomorrow. Maybe I'll do it the next day. I said, no, we're going to do that now. So I took the 10 minutes, created the post I wanted to create, invited them in, and made the post. Right. And that one decision created a ripple that shifted everything for me. Like I could see like the engagement shifted, my energy shifted. And not because the circumstances changed first, but because I changed my frequency first. Okay. So here's what I want you to take away today. Your next level momentum doesn't live in your results, it lives in you. And this is why when I say like momentum is an energy as much as it is like a tactical 3D thing. But for me, momentum is more energetic. Okay. And so, and when you learn to pre-source the emotional frequency of things already being done, you become unstoppable. You just move. People are like, wow, like she is just moving with flow and it seems effortless. Yeah, because you know how to pre-source your energy. Okay. So if this conversation resonated with you and you want to practice this in real time, I invite you to join me for the Timeless Businesswoman Challenge. It is 21 days, and this is a beautiful space where we embody this kind of power and presence together. And I love for you to be there. You can reach out to me on Instagram and you can send me a message. You can send me the word timeless and I'll send you all the details. Or you can look in the show notes and you'll see a link there, and you can click that link and you can join the challenge. And so the Timeless Businesswoman Challenge is a 21-day challenge to embody the woman whose business outlives the algorithm, right? It outlives the circumstantial, things that are going on around us. All right. So this is you. hit me up on Instagram or click in the show notes and join us. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of Soulful Success by Design. If you enjoyed our conversation and found value in it, please leave a rating and review on iTunes to help me continue bringing more inspiring content your way. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Soulful Success by Design, or visit my website at KendraKWoods.com for extra inspiration and resources. I appreciate you so much and can't wait to connect with you in the next episode. Until then, remember to create success from your soul and on your terms.